You do not need a dopamine detox. You heard me right. Good old dopamine. It's my friend, and since you are here, I'm guessing it's your friend too. You've heard the advice everywhere. Put your phone in a drawer. No music, no scrolling, no shows, no snacks. Sit with nothing for 24 hours and let your dopamine reset. Millions of people have tried it. You might be one of them. And here's the part nobody talks about. Most of them made it through the day and they felt almost exactly the same the next morning. Still restless. Still scattered. Still reaching for the phone within minutes of waking up. If dopamine detoxing worked the way it's described, that wouldn't happen. So either millions of people are doing it wrong, or the entire premise is built on a misunderstanding of how your brain actually works. Guess what? It's the second. And once you understand why, you'll stop trying to fix the wrong problem. Let's start with where this idea actually came from, because it's not what most people think. The term was coined by a clinical psychologist named Dr. Cameron Sapa back in 2019. What he described had almost nothing to do with avoiding all stimulation for a full day. It was a behavioral technique borrowed from cognitive behavioral therapy designed to help people reduce specific compulsive habits, things like binge eating or compulsive phone checking, by deliberately creating space between an urge and the response to it. That's a useful, evidence-based idea, but by the time it reached social media, it had been stripped of all its nuance and rebuilt into something else entirely. A 24-hour fast from anything enjoyable, sold as a way to reset your dopamine levels. The science got left behind. The aesthetic stayed. Here's the problem with that framing. Dopamine doesn't work the way the trend assumes it does. It's not a fuel tank that runs low from too much fun. You don't use it up by laughing too much or scrolling too much or eating something sweet. Dopamine is mainly involved in something different: anticipation. It spikes when your brain predicts a reward is coming, not just when you receive one. It's the chemistry behind wanting, behind motivation, learning what to pay attention to. You cannot deplete it the way you deplete a battery. Your brain manufactures it continuously. So if depletion isn't the issue, then sitting in silence for a day isn't restoring anything. Which raises the obvious question. If it's not your dopamine that's broken, what's actually happening when you feel burnt out, scattered, and unable to enjoy anything? Here's the real mechanism. Notifications, open tabs, autoplay, infinite scroll. None of these are exhausting your dopamine. They're keeping your nervous system in a constant state of low-grade alert. Your body has two settings. One is activation, alert, scanning, ready to respond. This is for when something is happening. The other is recovery, calm, settled, restorative. This is for rest. A healthy system moves between the two, but a feed that refreshes every few seconds, a notification that could appear at any moment, a video that autoplays before you've even decided to keep watching. These keep your body locked in the first setting almost permanently. Not because anything dramatic is happening, because something might. That uncertainty alone is enough to keep your nervous system from fully downshifting into recovery. This is what people are actually describing when they say they feel wired and tired. Not a chemical shortage, a nervous system that has forgotten how to power down. So think about what a digital fast actually does to the system. You remove the stimulation, but you don't do anything to teach your body how to shift into recovery mode. The phone is gone, the dysregulation isn't. That's why the first few hours of a dopamine detox often feel worse, not better. The restlessness, the irritability, the urge to check something, anything, that's not your dopamine receptors healing. That's an activated nervous system with nowhere left to direct its energy. You haven't fixed the alarm, you've just muted it for a day. There's a second piece to this, just as important. Constant switching between tasks, tabs, and apps doesn't just overstimulate you. It trains your attention to expect change. Every few seconds, something new. A new clip, a new headline, a new message. Your brain adapts to that rhythm. It starts treating sustained focus on one single thing as unusual, even uncomfortable. That's an attention problem, not a dopamine problem. And you don't solve an attention problem by removing stimulation for a day. You solve it by practicing the opposite skill on purpose, repeatedly, the same way you'd train any other muscle. And there's a third piece, the one people usually try hardest not to look at. A lot of what gets labeled mindless scrolling isn't mindless at all. It's a way of avoiding something. Boredom that feels unbearable. A thought you don't want to sit with. An emotion you've never learned what to do with. The phone isn't the cause of that discomfort. It's the exit from it. So when you take the phone away for 24 hours, you haven't resolved the discomfort. You've removed the exit and left yourself alone in the room with it. No wonder it feels unbearable. No wonder almost everyone goes right back to their old habits the next day. You didn't deal with what you were avoiding. You just held your breath for 24 hours and called it healing. So if a 24-hour fast isn't the answer, what actually is? 3 things, and none of them are dramatic. First, regulate your nervous system. Don't punish it. Slow, extended exhales. A few minutes of brisk movement. Cold water on your face. Consistent sleep and wake times. These aren't wellness cliches. They're actual mechanisms that shift your body out of constant alert and into real recovery. Do this daily, in small doses, not as a one-time reset. Second, train your attention the way you'd train any skill. Pick one task. Give it your full attention for a set period, with your phone in another room, not just silenced. 15 minutes is enough to start. Notice when your mind reaches for a switch, and gently bring it back. You're not punishing yourself for getting distracted. You're practicing the exact skill that constant switching has worn down. Third, and this is the one people skip, get curious about what you're avoiding instead of just removing your escape from it. The next time you reach for your phone out of nowhere, pause for 3 seconds and ask what you were feeling right before your hand moved. Boredom, anxiety, loneliness, avoidance of a task. You don't have to fix it in that moment. You just have to notice it. Noticing is the first step in addressing something instead of escaping it, and it's the step a 24-hour ban skips entirely. None of this fixes anything in a day. That's the part the trend got wrong from the start. It promised a reset, when what you actually needed was a practice. Your nervous system didn't get dysregulated in 24 hours, and it won't regulate itself in 24 hours either. It changes the same way every real change happens. Small, repeated, unglamorous actions, done consistently, long after the novelty wears off. Here's what's actually true about you. You're not broken. Your dopamine system isn't malfunctioning, and it never needed a detox. What you have is a nervous system that's been running in overdrive for longer than you've noticed, and an attention span that's adapted to an environment built to fragment it. That's not a flaw in who you are. It's a response to your environment, and responses can be retrained. So skip the 24-hour fast. Pick one thing from what you just heard: the breathing, the single tasking, the 3-second pause, and do it today, not as a reset, but as the first repetition of a new pattern. Do it again tomorrow. You're not trying to fix your dopamine. You're teaching your nervous system that it's allowed to power down, and teaching your attention that it can stay in one place without needing somewhere else to go. That's the actual work. Not someday. Starting now.